unfiltered and unapologetic. She's in your face like, yeah, bitches, I said it. Authentic heart on the sleeve, you need to see to believe. Talking about life and all the betweens. She's Candidly Kasi.
Welcome back to another episode of Candidly Kasi. My guest is probably exhausted because he just had to help me set up everything in order to do this. And I just told him that was more humiliating than the time I pissed my pants in school. So thank you, Tony Berardo.
Hey, it's my pleasure.
Oh my gosh. First of all, he has an incredible podcast himself, Humanity and Hashtags. I was on his twice, correct? Yes, 2 times. So he is a seasoned player at this, and he's been helping me this entire time. So thank you.
My pleasure. You're doing great. You're doing great. You're doing great, kiddo.
And you also did the intro video.
That's right. Yeah,
Yes,
people are
you
digging
did.
that.
Yes. So
There
I
you go,
appreciate
there
it.
you go. It's
So I-
Candidly Kasi.
Yes. So I wanted to talk to you today about your diet, how you eat, and how you're so jacked. Because in the last episode, I actually said that you were coming on. I said you were vegan. I didn't realize that you eat eggs. So it is what it is. It's fine. But when you think of somebody who doesn't eat meat, the idea in your mind, or at least mine, is somebody who's thin, pale, maybe lanky, whatever, right? But you obviously are not. So how are you doing that?
Thanks for that. Always good to hear. Yeah, I mean, so there's a few things. So I train like an animal, right? I mean, I'm over 40. I'm turning 41 in a few weeks, actually. So I train like a beast. I do 3-4 times a week. I work out a lot. I also eat really well, but high protein. Everyone always asks, well, how do you get your protein as a vegan? Well, technically, I do have eggs. You know, I'm not vegan because I believe in not harming animals, even though I don't think we should the way we do it now. But that's not why I do it. I do it specifically for health reasons that I had to deal with, which we could talk about if you want. But so eggs are just a great source of protein. So I do 5 to 10 eggs a day. So, I mean, that helps me out a lot. And then I do a lot of protein powder. So I think that's a big reason why is I increase a lot of protein, maybe artificially, which I probably shouldn't do, but it's really the only way you can do. A lot of legumes and beans and stuff like that. So I would say my caloric intake is mostly it's 80% protein. When I barely do any carbs. So that's how I'm able to stay so fit. You combine that with training and a lot of contrast therapy and stuff I do. It's a lot easier than people think. You just have to work at it, especially at my age.
Oh my gosh, I'm older than you. The thing is too, and I want to talk about like how you started doing this, but I know everybody's different. So what works for me might not work for you. And there was a time I went to New York. I told you about this place, Le Botaniste. It was gluten-free. It happened to also be vegan. And it was the best I ever felt after I ate that meal. I felt energized, satiated. I didn't eat a cookie afterwards. I wasn't looking for sweets. And it was just a very thoughtful meal. When I came home and I was telling my husband that, he's a meat eater. He's a meat and potatoes guy. So for me to change that, it would be hard because I'm also cooking for my family. But I always go back in my mind to how I felt eating that. And I felt incredible.
Right. Yeah, a lot of it has to do with the fiber too. Like when you're eating these big whole foods and everything like that, you're going to feel a lot more satiated than ultra processed foods. You know, the ultra processed foods, they're designed to make sure we don't feel full, right? That's why when you go to like a big restaurant and you're eating whatever, chips and salsa, and then you order a quesadilla, and then you can have a couple margaritas, and the next thing you know, you're able to like eat a cheesecake. You probably couldn't do that 4 meals in a row if it was like plant-based, these massive foods, whether it's potatoes or legumes or something. It's because it's all ultra-processed from a restaurant. So the food is literally manufactured so that we can stuff our faces, and your body, it can't communicate. Your stomach can't communicate to the brain to say you're full. So if you can just focus on not necessarily eating vegan, but just focus on eating whole foods that you're not buying at a restaurant, you're actually going to the store, going to a farmer's market, and you're actually getting real foods, you're going to feel a lot more full when you eat those foods in a good way.
Yeah, it was just energized and for hours.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even anything crazy. It was just vegetables and a really good dressing. And the thing that sent me over the edge, I mean, I was in New York for 3 days. I ate at this place 2 times a day because I just had to keep going back. And they did a super seed avocado, which was just avocado halved, rolled in a bunch of seeds. And it had this crunch on top of the salad that I never had before. And I've tried to do it at home and it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's just not the same.
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, it is tough, especially if you're in a household like yourself and like mine, where my wife and my kid, they're not vegan. I mean, I cook steak for them, and I cook for them. So again, it's just a choice by me because, I was diagnosed with Crohn's about 6-7 years ago, and I've tried every fucking diet under the sun, and just for whatever reason, whole foods, plant-based, that's what did it for me. Intermittent fasting, I think, is a big reason why I haven't really had any symptoms, and some would say that I've even gone through remission because of that. I think is I'm only eating 2 meals a day, but the meals are real food. It's very rare that we go out, and even if we do, I try to do what I can to get a salad or something light, and then I'll come back and I always do like protein ice cream that I make, where it's just coconut cream, coconut
I saw
milk.
that.
Oh yeah, vanilla protein, chia seeds, cinnamon, maple syrup. I mean, that's it. That's the only ingredient. So there's 4 ingredients in that thing, and it's loaded. It's like 70 grams of protein. It's like 55, 60 calories. It's very satiating, very full, gives me the protein, but I'll have 2 meals throughout the day, and then usually that is my 3rd meal. 11 or noon is my 1st meal typically of the day. And then I'll have one other meal, which is dinner, around like 5 or 6, and then I have that dessert usually at night. All my days that I work out because I need the protein. I think that has a lot to do with it. But again, that was my choice, and I was like, I want my kid to actually have meat because there's so many great benefits cognitively, physically, but also she's at such a young age, she needs that good protein, right? It helps her sleep at night. It just helps her get stronger as she's young. So same thing with my wife too, as you know, as you get older, you got to be careful with the food you're eating. But when it comes to protein, I mean, you can't really skimp on protein because men and women were constantly losing muscle mass after you turn 30. So if you're training or if you're doing any type of physical activity, you need the protein, especially if you're going to not work out a lot. You don't want to lose your muscle. And unfortunately, to your point, vegans, they're not known for having the most muscle. So I think that has a lot to do with diet too. I mean, you can be an unhealthy vegan. There's a lot of those going around. So you just got to be careful with what you're eating.
I think it's the same thing because I can't have gluten. So I've had celiac. I found out, oh my gosh, 14 years ago. And people I see use it for a diet. And then they say, well, how come some people lose weight on it and some people don't? I don't replace bread for gluten-free bread. I just don't have it then. Where other people just replace gluten-free and think that's going to help them lose weight. And it has nothing to do with that. So it's interesting. I see you working out. I see what you post. I like that you do that. I think it's super inspiring. You talk a lot about dad content. I think you should also do what you're eating because I'm very, very interested in that.
Oh, right.
So just post for me. Just post for me.
Yeah, for sure. No, I was actually thinking about doing a whole channel on like, I don't know, what I eat and how I train and stuff as a dad. I think that would be valuable. I might post that maybe separately, a different account completely, Yeah. And then have my current account, just the podcast and dad stuff. So yeah, I've thought about it. It's on my list of shit to do.
And you're already doing like 1,000 things, but you're doing it well. That's the thing with you. You post, it looks good. It sounds good. Everything's good. So then if you do anything else, you put so much effort into it that you're not going to half-ass anything. So you're not going to do it until you're ready. But I love when you post your workout stuff because you're doing it at home. You're doing it with your kid there. Like a lot of times you show her that you're able to do that and she's right there. You're not missing out.
Yeah.
I'm getting to the point where I'm finally going to start because I'm going to be 44 this year. I've had no energy, but I started testosterone and now I feel like fucking Superman. So I'm like, I'm ready to do this. I feel better. I just want to fix what I'm eating. And I think I'm going to try to do plant-based and see how I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and hormone replacement therapy is a big thing of it too. I mean, I'm on TRT right now. I started it maybe like a year and a half ago. And, if you're with the right doctor, you do it the right way. You don't want to abuse it. I mean, because, people don't understand there's steroids and there's hormone replacement therapy or testosterone replacement therapy. There's two different things. So just because you're on either TRT or, HRT, you're not taking, if your doctor's correcting what they're doing, you're not taking over than what you should be getting. So like you're just getting to the level that you were at when you were 20 and 30. And that's just enough to where if you combine that with good nutrition, a healthy lifestyle, working out, you're going to maintain your physique. Obviously, you're going to get a little bit better depending on what you train, but that's how you're going to maintain a healthy sleep regimen, muscle mass, because you're declining. I mean, you ever met a jacked 80-year-old? No, it's because when we're 20 and 30, that's when you're peaking your testosterone levels, men and women. So like you're slowly declining. I think there was a article I was reading where from the age of 25 to 70, specifically for men, your testosterone is going to plummet 200%. Even if you're working out and you're not on TRT, I don't care who you are. I don't care what you're doing. You're not going to gain the same amount of muscle as if you were on TRT and working out. And that's just because your body just cannot fight it. And same thing with women too. I mean, it solves a lot of issues. And I think it's a very interesting topic. That's something I want to talk a little bit more about as I become more knowledgeable of it. But it's a very interesting topic because I think with men and women, a lot of things can be fixed, like hormone issues, stress levels, your sleep patterns. If you're not getting sleep, you're a shitty human as it is. So believe it or not, testosterone for men and women will help with sleep. They'll help with those mood swings that you might have, especially if you've given birth to one or two kids. I mean, your hormones are all fucked up afterwards, right? As you know.
Yeah.
So it's, whoa, calm down. Jesus. See what I mean? No, just like, your hormones are out of control. No, just kidding. But, that's, I think, a big thing that people need to talk to the doctor about for sure. Don't get some stupid shit online and all that. But I think you need to talk to your doctor and get some blood work done. And who knows, maybe your testosterone's great. But I got my blood work done. Like, hey, listen, you don't really need it. But if you do this, these symptoms that you're talking about, it might help. Your sleep might improve. You might do this. You might do that. And I took it, man. And I'm a year and a half in and I'm loving it. And obviously that's a big reason why I've gotten so jacked. A, because of that. But B, because I'm actually able to work out now. Like when I was a year into being a dad, I was not working out at all. Maybe twice a month because you're sleep deprived and you're fighting with your spouse and you just got a lot of shit going on. So I had zero time to work out. But now that my kid's walking around, I can have her in the gym with me and she's not preventing me to do stuff. She's playing while I'm working out. But when she was a year old, she's like, Daddy, what are you doing? And I'm swinging kettlebells. I'm like, this is a kettlebell. What's a kettlebell? And I'm like, and I couldn't get any work done. So now she's good to just play on her own and watch me. So I think that's where you got to look at your lifestyle change. How can you implement your kids and your life into working out a little bit more? That's going to help.
My daughter just ran her first marathon. Well, it was a biathlon. It was a mile run and a mile bike.
Oh, wow.
And I was freaking out because I'm like, what if she falls? What if she's tired? And she did it and she was exhausted afterwards. But I'm like, this is exciting because next year I want to do it with her. And I told her I'm going to make sure. I didn't realize parents could actually run with the kids, but there were some parents that ran the whole time for the run and the bike. And I'm like, next year I'm going to do that with you. And that is my goal. I'm going to do it.
Good for you. Yeah, I think it's a great goal for sure. That's awesome.
That was like the first fitness thing really we've done. I mean, we go for walks and stuff, but something like that, it was really exciting to see and for her to get into. But I started testosterone in November. I was scared to do it. I didn't even know women had testosterone. I know that sounds stupid, but I didn't. I thought that like women have estrogen, men have testosterone. So when I first started HRT, I was like, absolutely not. I don't want to grow a penis. Like I'm not doing it. I thought that's what that did.
Of course.
So I started estradiol and progesterone and I was feeling better, but I just felt like the circle wasn't closed. That's all I kept describing. I'm like, I feel like there's more to complete this. And then after a year of that, I'm like, let's do it. And I started in November. I was like, I wish I started this years ago because what a difference. And I take it on the higher end. I remember she said to me, you can't go by the numbers because I'm like, where do you want me to be at? And she said, there's no number that I can tell you, but you're going to know how you feel.
Oh, feeling. Yeah.
And I'm actually over where I should be, but that's where I feel my best. So I don't let that number bother me because that's where it's at.
That's where you feel your best. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. And it's different for every person too. That's the key. It's like that. That's why it's so important. You get with a doctor that's able to kind of play with you a little bit and figure out where your levels are at and check in with you a lot. I mean, I go every every quarter. And I just do a check-in. I do blood work 6 weeks after my checkup. So that way we're always following and always maintaining it. Because, again, I mean, it's like if you dip below a certain level, whatever that level is for you, you start feeling like shit. Like it's pretty instantaneous.
Yes.
And obviously that a lot of it has to do with you're putting in like artificial testosterone. I mean, it's real testosterone, but it's your body's not producing it, right? So when you get off of it, that's the shitty thing is like, you're going to have to be on this forever, right? And as you're getting older, you're going to have to increase your doses. So as long as you're open to that, which what's the difference between that and taking vitamin C every day? It's all the same. So it's going to make you feel better. And I think people just need to be a little bit more aware of what it can do for your life, because it is very, very impactful. I just think it has a bad stigma. You think bodybuilders and you think all this shit, but it's not weird for us to supplement things. Like, have you ever had a protein shake? You're using protein in a shake to get more protein. You can get it from a steak, sure, but if you want more, have a protein shake. Okay, well, same thing with testosterone. If you can get testosterone from a steak, have a little more. Have a little more from a shot. Okay, get some pellets in you. All right, have a little more. So it's life-changing for sure. And, I think a lot of it, especially if you're a father or mother, it's so important now too. The more and more I think about it, I've always been into fitness, but as you get older, you don't just want to be fit for yourself. That's important, sure, because you want to feel better and look good and all that. But like, you want to be fit for your kids, and you want to be able to play with them when you're 70. And there's a lot of people that, relatives of mine, family of mine, that they are 60, 70, 80, and they can't do anything, whether it's injuries or blah, 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 blah. But I've never got an injury, and I don't plan to get an injury anytime soon. And that's because I'm going to be stronger than the people before me. So if you could just be strong in your 40s, 50s, and 60s, well, you're going to be better off in your 70s, 80s, 90s. It's just a fact. So why not just take the steps now? Because when you're 70, you can't start working out. Sure, get on some TRT when you're 70, maybe. That might help. But by that time, you have osteoporosis. Your bones are weak. It's going to be such an uphill battle. And just do it now. Do it when you're 30. Do it when you're 40. Focus on your fitness now, so that way you don't have to worry about it later. It's no different than working. You work at a job now so you can retire when you're 70. Well, just work out now so that way you can have a healthier life when you're 70. It's very simple. Just people, I think we're so like, I don't know if it's like arrogance or egotistical, or I don't know what it is, but it's this weird thing. You talk to people and they're like, I'll be fine. I'll work out later. It's no big deal. I'll drink and eat whatever I want now, and then I'll worry about it later. It's like you don't understand how weak you're going to become if you don't do this now. And then it's going to be too late. I mean, I'm 40, and I feel like I was just in my 20s partying, having a good time. And that's only 20 years. So I can't imagine from 40 to 60 what that jump's going to look like. And then I'm going to have grandkids maybe, hopefully, and running around with them. So it's like, don't you want to be fit to be able to do shit in your 60s and 70s when you quote unquote retire? I don't know. I'm always thinking about that stuff. I'm always thinking about longevity and how I can live the longest, because God, it's such a beautiful world. Don't you want to be on this planet for a long time? It's like, just take the steps now.
There's a guy at gymnastics. He takes his granddaughter, and he is, I think he's 80 and in shape. And every time he comes in, I'm like, this is somebody who worked out his entire life. He's with his granddaughter, running around with his granddaughter, and he's good looking. I'm like, this guy just took care of himself. And I told my husband, like, do you see him? Because he takes her too. It's crazy because you just assume that when you get older, you kind of crumble. And it's hard because I think the way everything is designed, we're so busy. We're doing so much. Mm-hmm. We don't leave time for ourselves. And that's what happened with me. Not to make excuses, but I never had to work out. I always was just in shape. I had abs without working to have abs, right? So for me, when perimenopause hit and I blew up like a deer tick, I'm like, what in the fuck is happening? And there's people who weigh more than me who then say, well, don't complain. I wish I was your weight. And I'm like, listen, I'm 5'1". So 10 extra pounds on me, I'm going to look like a meatball. If you're 5'9", even 5'6" and above, it's different. When you're shorter, the weight just carries. I mean, I have short legs.
Everyone remember Stretch Armstrong, right? Stretch Armstrong doll, when you had him in his original form, he was so meatball-y. And then you stretch him out as he got better. He's like, he's losing some weight. He's thin. He's nice and fit. Yeah, that's the thing. And I know what it's like being a short guy. There's that 10 to 20 pound difference. It makes an impact.
Makes a difference. How tall are you?
5'6", depending on what shoes I wear. Or you mean barefoot? Oh, 4'11". No. No, I'm like 5'5".
This episode is sponsored by Boron. Since 1932, Boron has been dedicated to providing high-quality medicines made from Earth's best resources. As a world leader in homeopathic medicines, they're passionate about sharing sustainable health solutions for the whole family. You can find Boron medicines at retailers nationwide. Learn more at boronusa.com. If you have celiac or gluten sensitivity, you need to hear this. I personally use Nema, and it has been a game changer for eating out without the anxiety spiral. It's a portable gluten tester that lets you check your food in real time. And because May is Celiac Awareness Month, they're doing something huge. Using code Casey gets you 25% off all month long instead of the usual 15%. If you've been on the fence, this is your moment. Trust me, peace of mind when you're eating, priceless. Head on over to nemanow.com and use code Casey. All right, I want to share something that's been a staple in my routine for almost 2 years now, Primal Queen. These are female-focused beef organ supplements, which might sound a little different, but hear me out. They are packed with some of the most nutrient-dense ingredients you can give your body. We're talking about real, whole food nutrients that support things like energy, hormone balance, skin, hair, and overall vitality, especially during seasons like perimenopause when your body needs the most support. I've started taking them almost 2 years ago, and not only has my skin never looked better, I just feel more supported overall. It's about nourishing your body from the inside out in a way that actually makes sense. If you've been feeling off or just want to level up your wellness routine, this is something to look into. Go to primalqueen.com/Casey. That's primalqueen.com/KASI and save 25%. Don't overthink it. Your future self will be glad you didn't. And then having that happen, hitting perimenopause, not feeling good, gaining weight, everything's hurting. I'm like, oh, I don't want to start doing it now. But now I'm like, I have energy. I feel better. I want to start doing this because I don't want to feel exactly what you said. If I feel like this now at 43, what is 63 going to do to me?
Oh, yeah.
Too much.
Yeah. When did you hit perimenopause?
38.
38. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I listened to, I think it was Dr. Rhonda Patrick that talked on a podcast. I don't know if it was Dire CEO or something, but she was talking about how now, obviously, girls are getting their periods way earlier, some as early as 7 to 9 years old, which is fucking crazy.
Crazy.
And then because of that, obviously you're hitting perimenopause a lot earlier as well. And, there's a lot of, I don't want to put on a conspiracy theory hat, but there's a lot of studies linking a lot of stuff like microplastics, because they're endocrine disruptors and, could be a lot of things like even stupid things like aluminum foil that you're wrapping around your food, using plastic cutting boards, milk, nonstick pans. I mean, there's all these different studies that are linking not just what we're talking about, but all of these negative side effects as we continue to get older for men and women. And it's shitty because it's irreversible at this point. The only thing you could do is try to prevent it by not having these things in your house. But we're so accustomed to it. And for some reason, again, it's that ego thing where we think, oh, companies would never do that. They would never put in cheap materials and hurt us. What? So I've had these conversations even with family, and I'm like, hey, you probably shouldn't do this. Have you seen the study of the receipt paper?
Yes.
And the amount of toxins that are in that are 100 times deadlier than anything. So I said to a family member when we were out at a restaurant, and he was like to my daughter, you want to play with this receipt? And I go, no, don't give her that. He's like, why not? And I cited the study. He's like, come on, man. And I go, this is the problem. I'm not the weird one, dude.
No.
It's different. It's different now than what it was when baby boomers were kids. It's way different now. And don't think that it's no big deal. It's not going to kill you now. Okay, but it's cumulative, right? All these things we're talking about, whether it's nonstick pans, using plastic Tupperware, the receipt paper, all that stuff, it's cumulative. So if you're doing it every single day, there's going to be negative side effects. And the problem is, the reason why all these companies aren't getting sued constantly is because there's no proof. Unless you study someone for 30 years from point A to point Z and then study another person 30 years, point A to point Z, doing all these different things. One being super healthy, not touching, receipt paper, not using plastic Tupperware. The other one's using glass Tupperware. That's the only way we'd be able to understand this. But there's so many smart people out there that are doing the research for us, and there's plenty of studies. How are you not convinced that every fucking company only wants to take your money? They don't give a shit about your health. So, like, you got to take it in your own hands. Like, instead of going to the store and buying processed foods, go to the farmer's market. It's probably better. Now, again, look at the studies, but even if you are completely ignorant about all this stuff, wouldn't that be healthier to grow your own veg and pick it than go to like a store? Because if that banana came from, I don't know, Chile, and it hopped on a freight container and it went over the ocean, 50 people touched it, then it goes to the cargo bay in Florida, and then it gets on another truck, 50 people touch it, and then it goes literally to like a warehouse. It sits in the warehouse for 4 days, 50 people touch it, and then it hits the grocery store. Hundreds of people have touched this thing already. Or what if you just picked your fruit yourself? Which one would be healthier? Of course, if you pick it yourself. Now, is that possible for everybody to do? Of course not. But don't be so ignorant to think that there's not some sort of negative effect with all those people touching it. Because I've worked in the restaurant industry, okay? There's a problem with people touching your food. Shit happens, okay? Doesn't mean there's always bad servers or bad cooks, but shit happens.
Oh, yeah.
And it only takes one person to spit in your burger before you start to understand that there's some shitty people out there that don't care about you.
I worked at a place, I'm not going to say where, but they sliced.
Jack Fridays.
Is that place still open?
I don't know, probably not.
They sliced lunch meat, and the entire I wasn't allowed to use the slicer because I was like 16. Somebody dropped the entire tray of lunch meat, and the manager said, "Pick it up," and they sold it. And I was like, "Holy fuck!" I was 16, and I was like, "Ooh, that's gross." But going back to the receipt paper, I did my taxes and wore gloves because I'm like, absolutely not. I'm not going to be sitting there going through all this crap and doing that. Yeah. And I don't let my kid touch it. When it comes out, I'm like, I act like it's on fire, and people they think you're crazy. But yeah, I use cast iron. I made all the switches. Yeah. I don't get my meat at the store either. By the way, localharvest.org, for anybody listening, is really cool because you can go put where you live, and then it'll show you a whole map of farmers markets, CSAs, all kinds of stuff. Cool. And it supports local farms and local farmers. So when you go to the store, you got to worry about getting meat that's printed. It's disgusting.
Yeah. Again, there's so many great things out there, but there's a lot to worry about. And I think the problem is, as we've continued to innovate rather in this country, and we've gotten some amazing things out of people coming up with these great inventions and these faster ways to get us food and like all this stuff. But it's also kind of made us a little bit lazy and sedentary and just pathetic, quite frankly, to where we're so oblivious to all the damage that, this is causing us. If you just kind of think about it just contextually, and you just think about how wild our society has become. Not too long ago, we had to hunt for food. So like a few hundred years ago, you go with your buddies and you go hunt deer or elk or whatever. And now you have Uber Eats in just such a short amount of time. I mean, I forget how old the earth is. It's billions of years old, right? But in just a short amount of time, we went from like hunter-gatherers to these shitty, lazy people that just stare at our phones and order Uber Eats. Imagine another 10 years, another 50 years. It's so crazy. And it's not good. It's definitely not good for you, because now we're like becoming these things, these like robots that don't have fresh food, and we are getting sicker faster. And yeah, we're so innovative, and we have amazing doctors and healthcare in the country and blah, blah, blah. And man, if something happens to you, you can go to the hospital right away and fix it. But how are we spending the most on healthcare in this country, but we're the sickest?
Because it's sick care. It's not healthcare.
Sick care, not healthcare.
I don't go to the doctor, right? I have to really, no, I haven't. So it's funny. Other than HRT, seeing somebody, it is virtual. And they always ask me, I probably shouldn't say this, but whatever. When's the last time have you had a mammogram? No, I'm not going to, thank you. When's the last time you had a pap smear? I found out that the chemical that they disinfect the pap smear swab is a carcinogen.
Right.
So it's like you're putting
That's okay.
that in like your
those done anymore.
they're putting that in like your most sensitive area with the thinnest tissue. And I'm like, no, I don't do that either. I haven't been to the gynecologist since I had a baby. I don't do that,
How do you know
right?
things are good down there?
Down there?
Do you check?
I don't hear any complaints. It's just like an at-home evaluation. If something's wrong, he'll let me know. But
Right.
no, if something's wrong, like really wrong. So we just went to urgent care because my little was sick and it sounded more bronchial than I liked. So I wanted to go and just make sure she didn't have pneumonia because a lot of people are sick. And we went there and they're like, she's fine. She has a cough. And I was like, oh, okay. And then they asked, you know, is she up to date on this? And as soon as you say no, they all put their masks on. And I'm like,
wow.
Oh man, this pisses me off because it just enrages me. And I felt bad because we walked out and she was like, Mom, why did they seem weird? And I was like, because they're assholes. Just some people are assholes.
By the way, you're already sick now because you haven't had your mask on. So just because you put your mask on, you've already been sick. You're fine. So I don't know. It's one of those crazy things where I think if you question everything, it doesn't mean all medicine's bad or all doctors are bad. But I think if you can get to the point to question everything, do your own research and talk to a doctor, of course, because then you can kind of see where their head's at. I always like to say, don't ignore doctors. Some of them just go to school. They get their doctrine, and some of them are very educated, and some of them just wanted to make the money. I mean, just like there's good cops and bad cops. I mean, you can go down the line with there's good servers and bad servers. But I think if you can figure out their intentions and talk to them, like when I was diagnosed with Crohn's, I saw 6 specialists over the years. Every single one of them wanted to give me meds. And that's when I decided to go my own route because I was getting bad reactions from medication. So that's a situation where doing my own research, it's helped me more now. Because even now, when I went to a Crohn's doctor recently, same thing. He's like, hey, man, eventually you're going to have to get on meds. I go, okay. But it hasn't gotten worse. I haven't had any symptoms. I've had more attacks when I was on medication versus the 6 years now that I've been off medication. Again, in that case, the doctor doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about because they're not trained in nutrition. They're trained in medicine. They're trained in taking care of the sick, not preventing the healthy from getting sick. This is where you just have to weigh out the pros and cons. Again, not saying all doctors are bad or all medicine's bad. It's just, I think things are different than what they were 50 years ago. You know, it's companies are starting to understand they can make a lot of money if they just cut corners and lie to us. And there's no repercussions. I mean, look at the FDA. There's no regulation on supplements. So like if you're into protein or fish oil or you want to take all that stuff, they could literally put whatever they want to say on there. It's not fact checked.
No, in a proprietary blend, and you don't know what that is.
Right. And by the way, neither does the FDA, nor do they care, which is fucking crazy. Mm-hmm. And the fact that there is no regulation to it, they could just put anything. There was a really fascinating study that came out. I forget how many creatine gummies there were, but there was a shit ton of creatine gummies. All of them got tested, and like 70% of them came back with 0 creatine in the gummies. And they're still on the shelves. They're still legally able to sell to us. What is happening right now? And that's just stupid creatine gummies. Imagine what other stuff? Imagine the multivitamin that you're spending $100 a month on. What if there's 0 vitamins in there? Well, you would never know unless A, you do your own research, or B, if you actually worked for the company and you would know. Aside from that, you have no fucking idea what's in there. And that's just how shitty the world has become right now. Nay, the country. Because the world knows better. Like Europe is actually banning ingredients and they actually do a lot of checking. But it's just so crazy that we're stuck in this situation. It's wild.
Even like, which we talked about before, I had breast implant illness. Didn't know that I had that. Felt awful. I mean, I was sick and I kept going to different doctors and everyone's like, oh, you're depressed. You had a baby. You have postpartum. Oh, you have this. Let me give you an antidepressant. I'm like, I'm not depressed. I'm pissed. I'm sick, but I'm not depressed. I didn't take that. I ended up seeing, which I swear my phone was listening to me the one time it listened and did me a good thing. I was on YouTube and this video came up and it was a woman who was talking about breast implant illness. And I was like,
wow,
oh my God. And I was sitting next to my husband and I'm like, I think I have this. This is every symptom I have. This is how I feel. And everybody said, oh, you're being a hypochondriac. You're fine. And guess what? That's what it was. I had a ruptured breast implant in my body silicone.
Whoa.
And as soon as it came out, I was so much better. But that also was FDA approved, FDA clear. Oh,
Sure.
they're saying they're not. It's not. So, and the crazy thing is, you know, women that have double mastectomies or, you know, one breast removed, they have cancer. I was in a group, they had implants and were sick. And they said that they were sicker from the implant than they were when they had cancer. And they put them in for free, but to have them removed, you can't go to a hospital and they remove them. You have to go to a plastic surgeon and you have to pay. So there were so many women in this group that had GoFundMes and just were waiting for this money so that they could actually remove their implants. I was lucky I was able to have them removed.
That's so wild.
Crazy.
That's
It
so
was
wild.
just, it was, I will never forget that, because as shitty as I felt so much worse for those that were in that situation, because I just can't imagine. I just can't imagine.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love a big tit like everyone else, but it's like one of those things where if you don't want to get bit by a shark, don't go surfing. It's, do you want nice tits? Sure, of course. We all want to see them. But you might have some issues down the line. You know, like, do you want to get jacked up like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 80s? Yeah, of course. But maybe don't do steroids. You know, do TRT. Go to a doctor. You know, there's always repercussions of going that route, of putting something synthetic in our body. And that goes with everything. It goes with the nonstick pans we're talking about, you know, using plastic containers, like all that stuff. The less bullshit you can put in your body that's fake, the healthier you're going to become. Statistically, law of averages, you know, something's going to go down. So same thing with vaccines. You can go down the line. If you're going to inject artificial stuff in there, odds are you might have some side effects. Like, I don't know what the percentage is, but it's not zero. It's not zero of doing all this stuff. You know, holding the receipt paper, using plastics in the microwave, right? Like, even I found out something that made me switch to boar's hair brushes. I got rid of my plastic brush because, like, all the microplastic that literally goes into your mouth and into your teeth when you're brushing constantly. Even if you change your shit all the time, like after one brush, there's studies saying that millions of microplastics going. So I immediately switched over and I went to, you know, these wooden bamboo toothbrushes with boar's hair. I forget the name of the company. But yeah, like, I switched to that. Like, doing all these little things, like, there can't be negative effects to that. It's probably more paranoia, more crazy, but like, what's the negative of it? What's the negative of using glass containers versus plastic?
I don't even drink out of water bottles unless it's glass.
Yeah, exactly.
I won't do that.
Glass, exactly.
I don't use paper plates.
I got really freaked out about plastic blenders. Have you seen that study?
No, but I'm sure you got to use glass. Glass, everything. Air fryer, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, and again, it's not paranoia. I think the intentions were good when this first came out. Like, when we first found plastic, oh my God, what a revelation. That could be everything. And it's so cheap and blah, blah, blah. But then you start to realize, oh, it takes like thousands of years to break down. It's getting into the ocean and it's literally getting into wildlife. And then we consume that wildlife. So now we're getting double microplastics into the ocean, things you can't even see. We're starting to get really smart about the negative side effects of everything that's going down. And now it's just too late. It's just too late. And it's so scary because there's no regulations. That's what's so fucking weird about it. Like, you know, all the smartest people on the planet are dealing with all this stuff. And still, no leader in any government agency is saying, hey, you know what? Starting tomorrow, zero plastic. Okay, sure. Is it going to be more expensive for us? Yeah, of course. But then you also have these other companies that are building these massive machines that go in the ocean that scoop up all this plastic. But now they're working overtime because we decided that we just want to keep using plastic. So even if they continue to work constantly and try to remove it, it's never going to get removed because it's going to continue to just get polluted. And I don't know, man, it's just it's so crazy that we just don't care about the repercussions. Same thing going back to the FDA and not tracking these supplements. It's so wild. It's just, and then when you question this stuff, they're like, you're crazy. It's like, what? How are you not pissed off about all this? How are you not wild, especially if you're a parent and you're like, all these companies are out to get us. And, you know, even the recent one saying that all the clothes from baby clothes company, every single company that makes baby clothes is like, what was it? 10 times the legal limit of lead. It might've been more, but That's insane. And they're still selling on the shelves. What is happening? What is fucking happening? It's so crazy.
So I was breastfeeding, didn't know that my implant had ruptured. Okay. So she wasn't drinking off of my right side, couldn't figure out what was going on. So obviously it was leaching out. She would only take off my left. Well, that didn't work out so well trying to actively do it because it was just a pain. So at 6 weeks, I had to stop. And I was upset because with my first, I went for a year. So I had to find formula, and most of the formula is shit. So I was like freaking out. They're saying, oh, take Similac, oh, do that. And I'm like, absolutely fucking not. So there was a company called Sammy's Milk, which is goat milk based, expensive, but amazing formula. She went right from breast to that, never threw up once, never had any stomach issues whatsoever. I had the owner's phone number. I still do. Any issue I had, one time she was constipated, I'm texting her. She's like, try this. But she like got me through all these moments holistically, by the way, in a way that I was, they're saying give her Miralax. Absolutely fucking not. I'm not doing that. They kept trying to shut her down. She was in California. They had her in lawsuits. I mean, it was absolutely crazy because they kept saying she had lead. She didn't have lead. I went to the pediatrician. And then when I said that I was using that, they were like, oh, we don't like that. We don't like that. You have to go give her blood work because they have lead in their stuff. She had absolutely nothing. She had nothing.
Whoa.
But and I've sent everybody to her. Anytime somebody couldn't breastfeed or whatever, I'm like, do Sammy's milk. She actually had that up until she was 3 because it's from, I think, 6 weeks to 3 years old. And she had that and it was great. But that's another company that was,
that's crazy.
Small business getting attacked.
Yeah.
And it's just a shame that we're here because anything out of the norm, which the norm is a lot of times unhealthy, you look crazy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I've been thinking about this a lot lately, especially as we try to figure out what the next 5 years hold. So we're very lucky. We live in a nice neighborhood with HOA and all that stuff. But if you have a shed, you get fined, that type of neighborhood. Where did we come? How did this happen so quick that your lawn now has to be maintained perfectly the way one organization deems it to be? But you can't have chickens or you can't grow your own cilantro or tomatoes because then you get fined. Wouldn't it be better if we just forget the whole HOA, keep your lawn nice and plant flowers that only live 6 months a year? Wouldn't it be better to just plant some tomatoes and some fruit and learn how to do our own agriculture? Because if you don't follow agriculture, you realize that your soil is so depleted, and even the food that we do plant, it has zero nutrients because we're turning over so much, and we're not allowing the soil to be healthy anymore.
Yeah, you need regenerative farming. And
regenerative farming is the only way to go. But we're all sitting on this land, this beautiful land. But instead, we need to keep it perfectly green, and we need to have irrigation systems, and we need to make sure that we spray it full of chemicals so that way mosquitoes don't come. We have to do this instead of just growing our own food and just wouldn't that be better? Well, it'd be better for the household, but not better for the company, right? It wouldn't be better for these big food companies. It wouldn't be better for the company that sells you eggs and sells you meat. Tyson wouldn't be able to live if everyone's, growing chickens in the backyard. So it's it's just so funny how in just such a short amount of time, less than 100 years, we went from doing everything ourselves to now relying on all these companies to do it for us. And we're allowing them, we're signing off saying, hey, poison us. Can you please come poison me? That's what we're doing. It's so weird.
By the way, when you said HOA, my asshole puckered because that is and I know you live in a nice neighborhood because I see you when you're on walks. When we were buying, that was my number one. It can't be in an HOA because
no go. Yeah.
No, because listen, when you step outside my front door, it's the fucking Wild West, the shit that people have in their driveways. I mean, my neighbor has pigs. My other neighbor has chickens.
Sure.
This one has a garden. It's nice, but I just wish not having that. People didn't have a broken down boat with a fucking pirate flag sitting on their front like it's beautiful, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like you have to trade one
I'm
for
not-
the other.
That's a good point. Yeah, because I'm not saying like I think HOA is a good thing, but call me crazy. Wouldn't it be better if like we had HOA to where like, hey, you have to maintain a good looking lawn, but you have to grow at least 3 vegetables. Wouldn't that be cool if like we had HOA where it was like, hey, we're gonna check like every quarter, and if you're not growing vegetables, you're gonna get fined. Like, how cool would that be?
If every neighborhood had a community garden, like when they're building these, put a community garden and everybody can go do that. But I feel like if you did that, you would have people that were abusing it, not tending to it, not putting stuff, and then taking it all. So it's like, it's hard. It's hard to do anything nice.
People are just naturally shitty.
Yes.
And I think that's the thing we got to train out of. I think we're doing all these things to become more lazy, more disconnected. And, you know, again, look at Uber Eats. That's a great example. No shade to people that do Uber Eats, but like you just look at that. Look at the concept where you're sitting on your couch, lazy as fuck, and you're ordering food by yourself like a fat shit. The food gets delivered, and not to the restaurant, to your front door. They don't even say hi to you.
No
They
contact.
drop it off, take a picture. No contact. They don't even say hi. They drop it off. They take a picture. You get a fucking stupid email while you're taking a shit on the toilet, and you're like, oh, my cheeseburger's here. You get your fat ass up. You go get your cheeseburger. You're not talking to anybody. Like, I wouldn't be so mad at Uber Eats if it was just like, you have to communicate with the person. At least that'd be a little bit better. Like, they knock on the door and you have to hand them the food, and you say, hey, thanks, Jim. Hey, no problem, Jerry. At least we got some interaction, you fat fuck. But no, instead, you want to get it delivered to your front door, then you snag it, then you go sit and you binge Netflix, and you immediately after binging Netflix, you have to doom scroll on your phone, and then you go to bed. It's like, wouldn't it be so cool if we had like food at the house, you can grow it, you and your neighbors come over, you're picking tomatoes, you're hanging out, you're having a good time. Oh, you got tomatoes? What do you got? I got oranges. All right, tomorrow morning we'll go grab some oranges and have some fresh orange juice. Like, we went from that 7,500 years ago to now you just get food delivered to your door at an inflated price, by the way.
Okay, ladies, I want to talk about something that completely changed my life, and I don't say that lightly. If you're in your 30s or 40s and suddenly feeling off, low energy, mood swings, anxiety, not sleeping, weight changes, and you're wondering what the heck is happening to me, it might be perimenopause. I've been a patient with MIDI Health for almost 2 years now, and it was the first time I actually felt heard, understood, and taken seriously. They specialize in perimenopause and menopause care, and they create personalized treatment plans so you're not just guessing or being told this is normal. For me, getting the right support made a huge difference in how I feel day to day. And now I'm actually a proud ambassador because I truly believe more women need to know this kind of care exists. This is truly women's health. You don't have to just push through and feel miserable. If you've been struggling and not getting answers, go check out MIDI Health at www.joinmidi.com and see what's possible for you.
Let's talk about one of the easiest wellness upgrades you can make, switching to real high-quality honey. I use Bees and Trees honey every single day, and it's one of those small habits that actually makes a big difference. It's raw, pure, and packed with natural goodness, nothing like the overly processed stuff you find on most shelves. Whether you're adding it to your coffee, tea, or just taking a spoonful, it's a simple way to support your body while enjoying something sweet. And especially if you're focusing on hormone health, energy, and feeling your best overall. What you put into your body matters. This is one of those feel-good staples I always keep on hand. If you want to upgrade your routine, you can get 10% off at checkout with code CaseyDiStefano at beesandtrees.com. That's www.beesandtrees.com and use code KASIDESTEFANO. It's a small change, but it's a powerful one.
Let's talk about something nobody really wants to talk about, but we all deal with: gut issues. If you're feeling bloated, sluggish, or just not as regular as you'd like, it can throw off your entire day. That's where Inalax comes in. It's designed to support healthy digestion and help keep things moving gently and effectively without that harsh, uncomfortable feeling you get from a lot of other options. When your gut is working the way it should, everything else just feels easier. Your energy, your mood, your overall vibe. So if your body's been giving you signs, this might be something worth trying. Head on over to www.inalax.com and save 25% when you use code Casey at checkout. That's INULAX.com and code KASI. Go take care of your gut. You'll feel the difference.
So my friend went to Belize and she was scared because, they're, oh, it's another country, blah, blah, blah. They had this beautiful rental. It was dirt cheap. Walked out, picked whatever fruit you wanted. Every house was like that. She was like, it was beautiful. They went to the local market or whatever, the store. The only thing that they were told not to eat was the fruit from the United States because it has preservatives. So she called me and she was like, oh my God, it's worse than we thought. I never forgot that. I think about that once a week because I was so nervous for her. She went there for like 6 weeks and she didn't want to come back. And I'm like, it sounds amazing.
Yeah. That's how I was when we went to Italy because we stayed.
I loved watching your trip.
Salerno. It was so fun. We stayed in Salerno at an Airbnb, but it was great because we would just walk. And we stayed in Rome in an Airbnb too. But wherever we went, there's, these little like bodegas. But you would go and, you would buy eggs. Obviously, they're not in the fridge. They're room temp, but they have like a half dozen, a little carton. And I remember one morning specifically, I went down like at 8 a.m. or something like that. They opened at 6 or 7. And I went down and I was like, hey, ciao. Do you have eggs? And they go, oh, no, man, we're done. I go, what do you mean? Well, we sold out for today. I go, it's fucking 8 a.m. What do you mean? And that's when it hit me. They're like, whatever they have, they sell until they're done. They could easily get a massive amount of food stockpiled and have back stock and still sell it all. But they would rather only have a certain amount because they understand, whatever the farmer can do locally, that's what we sell. We don't want to overwork the farmer. We don't want to make it stressful in the store if we have it and that's it. And that to me was like a big eye opener where it's like, imagine the level of indifference you have to have in a country to say no to money. You could cut corners. You could make more food. You could have more farms. You could literally destroy the entire country of Italy and have farms and manufacturing and all that. But they choose healthier food, lazier life, better living. They choose all that instead of profits. And to some, even my buddy that's from Italy, he's like, that's so stupid. But he's also in his 20s that lives in America half the time and wants to actually be, a millionaire, and he's working towards it. So he's in a situation where he's like, the grass is always greener, right? And he wants to make a lot of money and have the Ferrari and all that shit. I just think depending on where you are in your life, you start to understand maybe they got something right over there. Maybe we're doing something wrong. As you get older, I think you start to understand this stuff. Because if you're 20s, you're like, screw that. Like I want to live in America and I want to work on Wall Street and I want to eat Five Guys every day and blah, blah, blah. Sure. Yeah, when you're 20s, think that way. But I'm telling you, when you get older, you're going to have a different perspective. That's for sure.
It's also very common in Italy that they live to be over 100 and they work up until they die because they aren't sick, because they're eating from the earth. Even all the blue zones, like if you just study that and then you see what are we not doing, if you look at the healthiest countries, the countries with the lowest birth death, we are not topping that list. We are very low on that list. It's scary, but it's become the norm. It's normal.
Yeah.
It's just normal. It's just what it is.
Yeah. Well, luckily with everything that's going on, hopefully people get more educated and, they're going to start looking into it more. And I think it's happening slowly but surely. Hopefully it won't be too late for some people, but just got to question everything.
So before we end, I want you to talk about Human Dad and your podcast and all the fun, amazing shit you're doing.
Yeah. Where do I begin? So, no, the apparel brand I'm super stoked about. It's going really well. It's called Human Dad. And I mainly started it because I obviously became a father. And I was only wearing like 2 shirts a week. You know what I mean? And they were always like covered in spit up and baby food. And I was like, since I'm only wearing a couple shirts, why don't I like just start an apparel brand? That would be cool. But I just didn't want like a normal apparel brand where it said like #1 dad on the shirt. I was like, what can I do to create a messaging on the shirt that reminds me I'm a good dad and that it's okay that I'm not perfect? And then my wheels started turning a little bit. And I was like, well, what does that mean? How can we relate that to like being a dad? And then I'm like, let me look at the dad market. So I looked at all the other dad apparel brands out there, which there's some good ones out there. but they're all the same, you know, cursive fonts, and the lettering's kind of the same, and the messaging's the same, and they're like, social media is so cute, and like community and like all that shit. And I was like, I didn't want to do that because that's not what it's like. Like I have all my friends that are dads and we barely talk to each other. Not because we don't love each other, it's because we just don't have the time. So I'm like, that's dad life. You're busy, it's chaotic, it's messy, and you're just all dealing with the same shit. So it's like, what can that resonate? What's that brand identity like? And I was like, I got it. What do I sit back and tell myself when I'm sleep deprived and my kid is screaming in my face? I go, but you're only human, dude. Control what you can control. You're fine. You got this. All good. Deep breath. And then I was like, oh, human dad. Okay, maybe I got something here. And then I started coming up with like the brand identity and the slogan and the marketing and like kind of how we want to do it. Fast forward 6-7 months later, then I started to do a crazy campaign with a bunch of dads that we kind of got together and
Saw that.
like, all right, well, yeah, like what's this going to be like? What's the messaging going to be like? How are we going to do the photo shoot? And then it all started to kind of come together. And I'm super excited to what it's become, and we're just getting started. I got a lot of big plans and a lot of cool things. So we got hats, we got shirts, we got tanks, and all the messaging, all the quality is great. It's breathable, it's comfortable, it's mostly 100% cotton. Some of our hats are polyester and a cotton mix, so it's kind of like if you're in Florida like I am, it's a cool blend that's breathable. It's not really thick where you're going to have like a sweaty head when you take off your hat. But the quality is great, but the messaging, I think, is what's different. It's all about embracing the chaos and the imperfections about being a dad. So we're just building a community slowly and surely, not trying to be like the best dad brand, but we're always going to be the fucking honest one. And that's going to be the difference for us.
I love that.
So, yeah. So, yeah, we got that going on. Then, of course, I got my podcast, I got my personal brand. I run a content agency, so I help people with like their podcasts and creating videos for brands like, as you know, which I guess we'll have to do another call after this, but you're doing great so far.
I thought it was great when this started and you said, oh, I thought you had this set up. We're going to have to figure this out in another call. And I was like, yeah, ChatGPT can only take you so far.
That's right. Dare I say it would take you nowhere. Fuck AI.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I do from a content standpoint, and it's been fun. So I wear a lot of hats specifically because I just have so many things that I'm passionate about. But I think we're lucky and blessed in a time, even though this seems kind of like a podcast where like, fuck the man and fuck innovation and fuck America. But really, I mean, there are some great things about this country. One of them that I enjoy is the ability to work and do whatever you want to do. So we're at least lucky enough to be able to do that. I could do all these things at home and still be a present father. So I think that's huge.
I love that.
Yeah.
So where can people follow you, find you, buy your stuff, all of
Yes. So Instagram is at the Berardo. I post everything on there, so you can check that out. And that's on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all that. And then the apparel brand is humandad.com.
Ooh.
And just for your listeners, if people are feeling squirrely and they want to, whether it's male or female, if they're a female that wants to grab something for dad, you can use the code DAD20. DAD20. One word, 20% off anything on the site and free shipping. How about them apples?
I love that. Thank you. And I will put that in the description so people can also see that. And that's super, super cool. And I just can't thank you enough.
It's been a pleasure as always. Yes. More time.
I'm sorry, my dogs are barking. Did you hear that?
I did on that cue.
Oh my gosh, Pepperoni is she is too much. Pepper, stop. Oh my God. Oh no, where did you go? There you are. Well, thank you so much. Pepper, shut up! I'm sorry. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. God.
Very beginning of the episode.
Put that.
Yes. Coming up on today's episode. Pepper, shut up.
Oh my God. I don't know how to end this now. I think honestly, that's how we're going to end it. I'm going to leave it in there, and that's what we're going to do. Because that is my life.
That's perfect.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Thank you so much for being here and for putting up with me. I really, really appreciate it.
No problem. Been a pleasure. I'll invoice you later. Okay. All right, hit me up later.
Okay, bye. Okay, I hit M. Jesus Christ. Oh, wait, I didn't. I did it. I did it. Wait, how do I end this?
So just hit.
I'm so done.
Did you hit end recording?
I thought I did. Okay.